The really shortest answer is that as a species and as a culture, we've become disconnected from ourselves and from the land and from food and all the things that sustain us, that were really all came from soil. Over 20 years ago, I became in my mind and referred to myself as an activist. After many years of especially being involved with things like trying to stop clear cutting, fish farms, I'm a founding member of the Great Indian Animal Cycling Coalition, so I was very into the whole cycling, lowering your footprint. I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere, and I didn't know why. And so a number of years ago, I moved here and started just putting in a small kitchen garden. And the moment I started growing my own food, I started changing. So rather than spending so much time on the phone and at meetings and at protests, I had my hands in the soil and I got reconnected with myself and reconnected with the land. And it changed me as a person, and it made me more real. I came from a much more real place within myself. And then that led me to growing more food, and then that led me to giving a lot of food away, and then that led me to selling at a farmer's market and enjoying it, and then that led me into farming for a living is really what happened. Food is something that connects all of us. All of us eat, and all of us are concerned about our health and our children and our grandchildren's health. And so food, farming, farmers markets, farmland has been an excellent and amazing and powerful way for me and others around me to reach people and broaden and deepen the conversations we have as to where do you want to go from here, and how do we get from where we are here to where we want to go. So the three things that are the biggest obstacles that we're dealing with. The number one would be climate change. And it doesn't really matter why we have climate change or whether it's natural or whether it's human caused. Climate change is having a profound effect on agriculture. 1 degree of increase in temperature is a 10% reduction in the amount of food grown in the world. So this is a global crisis. The second is our current form of globalization, where our entire planet, our governments on every level are basically being run by corporations. So they decide what we eat, what is grown, what's added to it, GMOs, how much sugar, how much fat, all the poisons that are used. The entire food system needs to be deglobalized and relocalized. The third and big challenge for especially people under the age of 40 is access to land, access to affordable land, access to affordable, farmable land. And so that's why you have so many young people now moving on to land that they're leasing or they're renting or they're in some kind of agreement with an older farmer. 75% of farmers in Canada are going to retire in the next 10 years. 85% of farmers in Canada have an off-farm job. And so there isn't an understanding in this society, in this culture, around food and agriculture. And so we have basically subcontracted the production of our food out to other countries that produce it cheaper, with less labor laws, with more chemicals, and we turn a blind eye. So what we need to do to change those three things, with climate change, we need to act immediately. No more talking, no more bumbling around with Kyoto, no more putting up with the bullshit from Stephen Harper. All of us need to reduce our footprint. All of us need to reduce the amount of CO2 we're putting in the atmosphere. All of us need to get behind our governments so there's political will to change the way we structure societies, the way we build our buildings, the way we insulate, how many vehicles we have, what kind of vehicles we drive, getting off fossil fuel onto solar and wind and wave. The second, globalization, as I began to say, we must relocalize our economy. We need to be growing more crops on Vancouver Island and British Columbia. We need to become more self-sufficient. 65% of British Columbia's food comes from California. And then we need to stop any and all development of any farmable land, particularly land that has already been designated as farmland, and particularly farmland that is in the ALR. Absolutely must be stopped. And while I'm alive, I want to see golf courses turned back into farmland. We need to work our tax system and the way we see land so that the price of farmland goes down in price. So young people like yourselves are able to buy a piece of land. It's hard enough to make a living farming. It's impossible for any young person in southwestern British Columbia to make a living to the point where they could actually purchase land. We almost ended up going to court. There was definitely threats of an injunction and legal action, further legal action, and even jail, because I would have kept farming and then we would have been in contempt of court.